Welcome to Planet Forward. I'm Frank Sesno. This is our webisode, and we're talking here with Van Jones, White House advisor on green jobs, enterprise, and innovation. Planet Forward was on TV. It's still here online. We're going to bring some of the ideas that have come into us right to Van Jones. And Van Jones, really glad you're here.
Glad to be here. It's good to see you.
Well, let's get started. First, we're going to focus on communities and take a look at what communities are doing. Our first video comes from 5 residents in Palm Springs, California. Now, some of them were skeptics going into this project, but they became do-it-yourselfers, and they put solar on a bunch of their rooftops. So I want you to take a look at this, and then we'll see what they have to say, and we'll talk about it.
It rains less than 4 inches per year. The sun shines 350 days a year. We have 2 to 3 air conditioning units per home. We're 5 neighbors who decided to install solar by ourselves with no experience, and we've just taken advantage of the entire program.
Decided to do the solar systems. We went to the city and obtained our building permits under an owner-builder clause. The systems are fairly simple to install. The main problem we have is you need a qualified electrician to do the final hookup. Since we've installed our systems, we have prevented over 220,000 pounds of CO2 contaminants going into the air.
Payback on the solar program is absolutely amazing. Although we thought that it was going to take, and we've heard that it was going to take a long time to actually recover your cost. When you do it owner-builder, you're actually saving a significant portion of money that is paid to the installer, and being able to do it ourselves was easy. Once you factor in, after the cost of the materials, you factor in the state incentive that we participated in addition to the Fed tax credit of 30%, our cost of our systems actually cost about 1/3 of what the installers are quoting the customers.
So, Van Jones, do it yourself?
Sure. I mean, first of all, what I like about this approach is that the more that people are cooperating, the more quickly people can roll this sort of stuff out. Not only are people doing things like this in that community, but also in places even like St. Louis, Missouri. There's a tough neighborhood where people need weatherization and other green solutions. Elected leaders got together and helped them get $200 million of Recovery Act money to weatherize every home. So the more we're working together, I think the faster we're going to go.
So you see that in this video as the key, this idea that we saw here, 5 neighbors together.
Sure, yeah, exactly.
What about this do-it-yourself thing? Is it really that easy?
Well, if you're motivated, it can be. I encourage people to check with your local planning commission, because they often are the kind of the back door. They know all of the tricks.
They said all they needed was a certified electrician.
Well, sure. I mean, in that community that may well be true, but one thing that is true is that most states, many counties, and an awful lot of cities do have rebates that folks don't know about.
Now, what they had in California, and you're from California, they had a 20% cost of solar power from the state, I think, right?
That's right.
And then a 30% from the feds.
Right.
Is that the formula across the country? What they had, does that happen
elsewhere?
elsewhere?
No, different states are different, and then even within states, some counties are much more aggressive than others. So you're really going to want to check in with your local planning commission. That's the secret. They often know a lot of this stuff and can be your guide to the whole process.
So check with the planning commission.
Yeah, that's what I would suggest. And then often really smart solar companies will have their own list of this stuff.
Yeah,
for some reason, theirs didn't.
It's called business.
Yeah,
it's called good business.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right, I want to take us to another community now. This is one that people might not think about, and they see their financial future blowing in the wind. So take a look at this one.
I'm on the Rosebud Sioux Reservation in South Dakota. This wind turbine behind me is an example of how Native people are looking to become leaders in renewable energy.
We want to develop our homelands, we want to have our own businesses, and we want to be, we're part of this United States. We're here first, but we want to be contributing members, and we want to share that dream.
South Dakota has some of the highest wind resources in the nation. According to the U.S. Department of Energy, Rosebud is considered to have excellent to outstanding wind potential.
There's going to be a series of turbines right through here along this road, then a half mile up, another row of turbines, and then another half-mile up, another row of turbines. We'll have approximately 15 2.0 turbines sitting in this particular area here, tying into this Nebraska public power line.
Through all the time, all the people on the earth before the advent of oil basically lived off renewable resources. Our people used buffalo, which was considered a renewable resource back then. The same energy that came through the buffalo for the people are coming through with the wind.
Is that a great piece or what?
It's very moving, very, very moving.
That was done by a graduate student here at George Washington University, Mark Ennis, who went out to the reservation to see. What about this community and the big dream here?
Yeah. Well, I think what's amazing is kind of this coming a full circle. That there's wisdom in indigenous cultures that we kind of got away from and came up with these cool technologies. Now we're kind of coming back together again. The kind of genius of Western technology with the wisdom of indigenous culture, and there it is right there.
Now, how many jobs can that actually create? Something like
Sure.
that?
Well, a decent-sized wind farm to build is going to give you several hundred jobs, and then to maintain, you're going to have 30 jobs, per decent-sized wind farm. But the most important thing is that the quality of these jobs is very high. These are well-paying jobs. If you're windsmithing, which is kind of building the stuff, and then all the engineering and all the maintenance, and then they're lucky they're going to be able to tap right into a power line and be able to distribute this energy beyond their own four corners.
They're looking to build something called the Owl Feather Warbonnet Wind Farm, a 30 megawatt operation. So how much power is that, and how many jobs does that generate? Because you're all about green jobs and making this an economic statement, not just an energy statement.
Yeah, sure. I mean, and that is the point, is that you can repower the country and beat global warming and also beat this global recession at the same time by creating these kinds of jobs. You're probably that's a moderate size wind farm. It's going to be enough though to create employment for a few hundred people. And as you know, for our Native American communities, that's a big delta. That's a big impact.
Okay, Van, we're going to be back with more in another segment. You can see these videos in their entirety, the TV show, comments that people have left, the energy learning curve, that's a public opinion survey, and a lot more here at planetforward.org. Up next with Van Jones, a reality check, what we can really change and what difference it'll really make here on planetforward.org.